be conscious that every tattoo can lead to a nasty infection that could lead to death. I strongly recommend you to do a lot of research and to stay skeptical about my method, which might not be that safe. Hi there, I'm Lucy. I am about to do my 6th Handpoke tattoo. I recorded the whole process from drawing to tattooing this time, because my first video was not that professional. As you can see, I draw it many times. I always do that. So now I'm doing the stencil. So I removed the brown sheet, but I have seen people who use that onion sheet instead of using the white sheet, so I guess it can work as well. So you just have to go over the drawing. Pretty simple. But you can see that I'm going to redo it later because I didn't put enough strength on the pen. Before I do the stencil, I put duct tape to be sure everything stays still when I'm drawing over it. As you can hear, English is not my first language. I often look for words. I hope you don't mind. Because the stencil is so faint, I'm trying to make an attempt to go over it, but I can see the difference, so I always start by disinfecting a large area where I'm going to tattoo. I disinfect my hands as well before I touch anything that has a link with tattooing, like before I touch any bottle or before I touch anything really. Before I touch the box that contains the bottle, I really try to be super careful about hygiene. I guess I don't want to catch any infection because of a tattoo. So after I disinfect everything, I put stencil stuff, the green bottle, and then I put the stencil. So now I'm redoing the stencil because it really was too faint. And I tried it anyway, but the placement was wrong, so I decided to do it again. Installation phase. I wipe everything with alcohol to disinfect. I prepare some Vaseline, petroleum jelly, I think in English, yeah. Okay, I disinfect really everything. I prepare some sterile compress and some physiological serum. Very hard to say in English. The ink cup is sterile as well, and some needles. I disinfect my hands. I disinfect the tip of the bottle. Before use, I disinfect the bottle before and after I use it, before I store it again. I try to put some cling film around the armchair because it was more hygienic, I suppose. And now we're ready for the actual tattoo. So I put some petroleum jelly on the design first. It helps the needle to go through skin, and it helps when you try to wipe the ink. It doesn't make it stick, it doesn't dry on skin if you put some petroleum jelly. Some skin, depending on the area you tattoo, react differently because some area of your body the skin is more squishy or something like that, so you don't put the same strength. So what I do before I tattoo a new zone is I only do first a few pokes just to see how the skin is going to react to the strength I am using. I do only a few pokes and then I wipe it to be sure I do not poke too far or too little. If you poke too far, you're going to bleed, and more important, or as important, you're going to make blowouts. It means that the ink is going to do some gray clouds under the line, and it's not really aesthetic. No, I'm just showing humorous notes about how the position I have to hold is quite awful because my knee is bent in an awkward way, and my knee hurts, my leg hurts, and my back hurts, and it's not a cool position. But at least I have my two hands to stretch properly the skin. It's really important to stretch the skin to have a very defined line. When I tattooed my arm, I couldn't properly stretch the skin, and as a result it was way more difficult to make a solid line. So stretching skin is good and important to have a well-defined tattoo. Another very important thing is to try to stay aligned with the line you're doing, like not parallel, but I hope you know what I mean. You shouldn't poke perpendicularly to the line, but stay in the same direction. The challenge for this tattoo was using an 11RL needle. It's way bigger than the one I'm used to, and also to do a dark grey for the iris. After some time, the ink tends to dry inside the needle, and to wash it from the dry ink and from the petroleum jelly, I spray a little bit of alcohol on it, and I simply wipe it on a sterile compress a few times. Again, everything I do from my experience, and maybe I'm totally wrong, so I strongly again encourage you to do what you think is right, and not necessarily do just like me. Maybe I'm doing some horrible mistakes and I'm not even aware of it, so be careful. I do not put gloves for two reasons. First, I'm tattooing myself. I do not put someone else in any danger of infection I'm giving from blood or something like that. Second, the gloves you're buying on the supermarket or on the internet are not sterile, so I do not see the point of disinfecting my hands and after that put some full of bacteria's gloves. That's why I do not put gloves. Of course, I could buy sterile gloves, but I am tattooing myself, so I clearly don't see the point. But if I were to tattoo someone else, I would recommend to use sterile gloves. I changed needles because I wanted a thinner line for the little spiral. Spirals are a little bit pain in the ass to make because, like I said before, you're supposed to stay in the same direction. The needle is supposed to stay in the same direction than the line you're trying to poke. So if it is a spiral, then you have to turn the needle and to turn your wrist, and it's kind of difficult to make. I put a movie while tattooing this design, and it was good. It was Erin Brockovich with Julia Roberts. Well, I didn't actually see it because of course I was watching my legs, but I listened to it and it was good. But what surprised me the most is I managed to finish the tattoo before the actual end of the movie, and that was a first for me. I was elated. It was the first time I managed to keep it quite short, so it took me an hour and a half, and I was very surprised. I made other tattoos. I made a flower of life on my thigh, and it took me like, I don't know, 15 hours. It was kind of... A flower of life is a design composed of many cycles. So at the beginning it is kind of soothing, you know, you're poking cycles, you're completing cycles after cycles, and it is kind of soothing. But after like 12 cycles, you just want to kill everyone that gets close to you, and you almost want to kill yourself as well because you can't see the end of it. And I thought I would not ever finish it, but I did finish it. And I am very happy with the result, but it took me really many hours. So I was quite glad to finish it, this one in 1 hour and a half. Of course it is far less complicated and it is a far smaller one, but I was very happy. So I wanted a dark grey for the iris, but at the end of the video you can see that I stopped poking and it is medium grey. Why do I stop? Because I think it's because of that. The skin is inflated, so the next morning when it will become flat again, the pokes I made will be closer together, so it will be darker than the night before, than right now when I stop poking. So I am careful not to make too dark a grey, because I know tomorrow it will be darker. And I think it has something to do with the settlement of ink as well. When the tattoo is done, I put some disinfectant in it, not alcohol, which is too strong, and I protect it with a light bandage for the night. I do not put cling film on it, because, in my opinion, cling film equals warmth plus humidity, and bacteria love that equation. I would also like you to keep in mind that even if you're doing things right, put disinfectant and everything, put sterile gloves, everything right, there is always a risk of a nasty infection. So please be careful, be safe, and have a nice day. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you didn't mind my funny French accent. Bye.